Okay, Dan here, stockmarketmetro.com, and it is Monday the 28th, and guess what? That's the day before Amazon reports earnings. So I want to take a look at this. I have no possible way to game earnings as far as which way the stock is going to go. That's not up to me. That's up to the entire market, and it's almost as if I don't get a vote. Let's just say I'm disenfranchised. But we can look at the chart here and get some clues. First of all, since just this last week, like a week ago when the stock was down here almost at 165, okay, this thing's run up about 15% in a week, and that's a pretty big move for Amazon. Biotech stocks, not so much. This one here, this was on the monster short squeeze week. It moved up 18%. So let's just say 15 and 18%. Those are pretty big moves before the stock turns around. And so my sense is that unless these guys report monster numbers, we'll probably see some selling into earnings. Simply because, and this is the only thing I really have to go on. I don't have a guess as far as what any of their numbers are going to be. I'm not stupid enough to try to make that guess, but I can look at pictures and make all kinds of suggestions. So with this up about 15%, it is still a heavy market. If we look at like the Qs here, we got a nice positive W here, but we're right up against this 50-day moving average, still below the 200-day moving average. And so this is really just kind of a heavy market, and that's okay. It's really, really nice to lose weight once in a while. I wouldn't say this thing is on Ozempic, though, yet. So we're still up at a fair amount of resistance. And again, like breakouts typically haven't been working. They'd move up for a day or two, and then they'd be sold into, and the stock would pull back. Maybe not a lot, but some. Google, Alphabet, whatever the hell they call themselves now. And I guess it depends what they call themselves, whether they're over in Europe where they're getting slapped or over here where they're about to be slapped. Anyway, so they reported great earnings. Stock pops up, and now it's pulling back a little bit. So if I look at Amazon, I just think that the odds of this stock pulling back are pretty high. But I will say this, and you can say, well, Dan, you're hedging your bets. Dude, I always hedge my bets. I make no apologies for that. What we don't know is whether that pullback will occur from here, if it'll gap down and then fall, or whether it'll pop up on really, really great numbers and then fall. But my sense is that it's probably going to be pulling back. Here's what you really want to be thinking about, though, is this is the 50 and the 200-day moving average. They're actually both moving down. That's a bearish situation. And with them both moving down, this is, again, a real heavy stock. This was prior support. It's broken. Now it's resistance. That resistance was reestablished here. Again, it was support here, here. It broke down here, then recaptured it, and then ultimately that got crushed. So basically what I'm saying is this is absolutely a really, really heavy ceiling, a real strong ceiling. So when you combine that with the 50 and the 200-day moving average overhead, guys, this is a real big, heavy stock right now. So I would just be careful about buying it before earnings. That's really just nothing more than gambling. And if the stock happens to gap up, I would be really careful about buying that gap. Buying gaps typically, like I said, it's not been working. The only exception to that would be if a stock gaps out of a volatility squeeze, then you tend to see that kind of thing. But even here, gapped up out of this volatility squeeze, it pulled back and then ultimately ran higher. But You'll have plenty of time to get into this stock if it turns out that earnings are going to turn this thing higher. It's not going to be a one-day wonder. There's way too much resistance overhead. Have I made myself clear? I'm sure that I have. So look, if you haven't checked out Stock Market Mentor, do so. You got basically a free trial. I think it's $7 for 14 days, something like that. And I've also released Stock Watch and Trade Track. You can check that out on the website. I'm getting rave reviews on it, which I'm really happy about. Not for me, but for the people that are using this stuff. So hopefully you'll check that out too. If you don't, that's all right. I'll see you here next time.